Good morning, everyone. This is number 7 of the review videos for Illustrator for certification in the socrative quizzes. And so I just want to say a couple things. First of all, I've gotten rid of some of the questions from this quiz that were normally repeats because you guys know them now. I've seen across the board that you guys are 100% of you are answering those questions correctly, so there's no point in having you guys continue to answer the same questions correctly over and over again. I wanted to challenge you with new questions, but I also didn't want to overburden you with more than 30 questions on what is supposed to be a bell ringer. So hopefully, well, for you guys it's not a bell ringer, it's end of class bell ringer, I guess, but hopefully you're picking up on everything with that, and if you need more help, or if you just were lucky and you got the questions right before and you still don't quite understand though, you can always talk to me or you can review previous videos. So anyways, I wanted to go over a couple of the things that are towards the end. So if there's anything, I would say up through question number 16 or so that you are not sure of, you can always watch a past video. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the pencil tool, which we need to find it. You go to, wow, there you go. If you hold your mouse down on the tool underneath the paintbrush, the shaper tool is what I have it as. I think it might default the pencil tool. But if you click on that, you'll see you get the pencil tool. And the pencil tool has its own sets of options. Basically allows you to draw a line, which is a path. So I can change the stroke and whatnot with that. You can also apply different width profiles, making it so that it, I can have it thin in some places and thick in other places. And when you're drawing with it, there's things called fidelity and smoothness that you can access by double-clicking on the pencil icon. And what that does is, if you're going for accuracy, it's going to be more like what you're actually drawing. So if you choose accuracy and make it go to the left, it's going to be less smooth. Otherwise, it kind of estimates where things should go. If you pull it all the way to the right, it will make it smoother, so it'll be more like what I had there. I actually think I had it more in between, but as you can see, my handwriting, if you've ever seen my handwriting, you can probably look at the whiteboard and see, is pretty horrible, but a program like Illustrator is my dream come true because it smooths out all my work, all my drawing, writing, and whatnot. So you can see there's options on there. Fidelity slider is the top thing on there, and the way you got to it again is by double clicking the pencil. Alright, next thing I want to do is talk about kerning, leading, or letting is what the proper way to say it is, tracking, and fonts and stuff like that. So when we're talking about kerning and tracking, to access this stuff, you can get to it from the character panel. And you can also go to Window, Type, Character, and you get your panel that way too. Kerning, if you can't remember kerning, imagine a single kernel of popcorn between two letters, spacing just 2 letters apart. And you'll remember what kerning is because it's the space between 2 letters. If you can't remember tracking, it's the space between multiple selected letters. So it might be a block of text, and when you move them apart, they are moved apart by the same amount. And so tracking, I always picture a railroad track with letters between the little lines that go across the railroad track, and so I think about the spaces between multiple letters. So kerning, if you look at this, one thing I need to remind you guys is that if you don't know for sure, hover over the icon and you'll get the tooltip and it'll say tracking. Tracking you can understand that that is the space between multiple selected letters because it looks like the VA is selected with arrows underneath it showing that it's multiple letters that are selected. This letter, VA, has a little slash between it showing an insertion point between two letters and a little arrow pointing to the insertion point. So it's saying that's the space between two letters. So we got kerning and we got tracking. Letting or leading, I always think of horses racing. And I think of it like as if you're looking down over the horse race track. If you have a horse above or a letter above the other letter, the space, the distance between is how much it's leading by. So the space between lines of text. And so that's spacing between letters, lines, and multiple letters. So that's kerning, tracking, and leading. I also want to talk to you guys about fonts. I have in this actual image I have up here, I have a sans serif font. I know it's sans serif because it doesn't have those little extra feet and tails and hooks and things like that coming off the letters. However, so it's usually a pretty clean, straight line font. However, if I go to my font family here, it's going a little slow. You have to give me a second. I might actually pause this. Hold up. Alright, here goes. So if I go up to my font family here, I have Island Coast selected. If I go down, there's script, which communicates ideas of luxury. Usually you think of like special occasions like, I don't know, weddings and there we go, Edwardian script. And it's all caps, which isn't probably the best thing to do with script fonts, but communicates ideas of luxury and love and all that stuff. So you got script. Serif is when you have the extra little hooks and things on it. So sans serif is without, serif is with. So let me find a serif font real quick. Probably Cambria. We can't tell as easily because it's all caps, but if I type in hello, how are you, you can see them a little bit better. You can see a little hook coming off the U and a little curve over the A and whatnot. So all those things indicate that that's a serif font. And so serif is used to communicate ideas of tradition and respect, and whereas sans serif is more modern and progressive. And then a decorative font or display font would be things like the Disney font, the one using the Disney logo, or something like this, where it has some sort of added style beyond just plain lettering. Alright, another thing you need to know is the color values for white, for RGB. So if I were to click on this, and I know that that's white, if I go up to my color picker here and hold down Shift and click on it, it's going to give me the little thing to adjust my color. I can choose RGB here, and I can see all three of these values are 255. If you were to move these all the way to the right, 255 is the highest it'll go. And so you can see that to make white in RGB mode, you have to have three 255s. If I drag that all the way to the left, watch what happens. It's black. So 0, 0, 0 are for black. 255, 255, 255 are for white. Another thing that you need to know is raster effects. And if you go into Effect, one of the things that happens in Illustrator is they do have both Illustrator effects and Photoshop effects. And so if I go down here and go all the way down to the first stylize, and then move across, you'll see drop shadow. And drop shadow is considered a raster effect. There are other raster effects in here as well, but you know this is a raster effect. When I click OK on it, you'll see, okay, so we've created this thing that we can normally see in Photoshop. You can normally do drop shadows in there. Now, if you were to expand this, it would make kind of a bigger file because you're accounting for a whole lot of like little pixels and stuff like that that can't be calculated through math normally. So I wouldn't expand that stuff too often, but that is a raster effect that's found in the effects menu. Another thing that you need to know is why you would have a project scope statement. And so project scope statement does what it sounds like. It establishes the scope of a project, or what the expectations are, the clear and specific expectations for a project, when you're going to have it done by, what you're going to create, etc. And who you're creating it for, the colors you're going to use, the fonts you're going to use, etc., etc., etc. Alright, so anyways, the next thing I want to show you is if I go to File, Export, and I want to export in a format that supports both transparency and lots of color, millions of colors. We have a few options in here. First of all, JPEG does not support transparency. You know that if you've ever, tried to save something that has a clear background as a JPEG, it always comes out white or black. I think you can choose between white or black on the little screen. It defaults to white. GIF allows you to get transparency, but if you've ever looked at a GIF, you'll notice that GIFs are kind of blocky in their color. They're using what's known as index color in them, and so you don't get as much color. So you get transparency, but you don't necessarily get millions of colors. PNG 8 is going to offer you some color, but transparency, but not as much color. Whereas PNG 24 has more combinations of color that you can access. So PNG, if you were to go into PNG, that defaults to 24. If I go in through File, Export, Export for Screens, and I choose, I'll go Export Artboard here. Whoops, sorry, I didn't choose it yet. If I go into here, I can actually see PNG and PNG 8. It defaults to PNG, which was PNG 24. 8 is just an index version of it. So anyways, PNG 24 offers millions of colors and transparency. And that's all I have to say about that. So I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. And I hope if you have any kind of questions about anything that is covered in these quizzes or geometrics, you'll talk to me. I'm excited to see how far you guys have come so far, and looking forward to some of you guys getting certified. I'm actually looking forward. I'd love to see all of you get certified. So keep trucking. You guys are almost there. This is the last, actually second to last quiz. We got one more, and then you have your final qualifier and whatever you have left of your geometrics. So you're almost there. Keep up the good work. Bye, guys.